It's Dave Johan once again for Punch Out Boxing. Pleased to be joined by someone who's very familiar to the channel, Asgar Tair, and Jerry from Behind the Gloves. How are you boys on this fine Easter Monday?
Well, thank you. The weather's not too bad outside, so can't really complain.
Yes, all good.
Yeah,
Wishing everyone who's celebrating a happy Easter. Um, just enjoy the moment. Quality time, great weather.
Mm.
good stuff. And I think no better place to start than guys with the big announcement over the weekend of Josh Taylor, Tartan versus the Takeover, TEOFIMO Lopez, June the 10th. It's a mouth-watering affair. Asgi, we've got you on because you personally know Josh Taylor. You've been on his corner a few times. You know the camp. Um, talk to us about the fight, the announcement first of all.
Excited. Well, I'm glad it's finally done because I knew that there was a build-up many years going. Both being top rank. Well, is Lopez still with the top rank, or has he left?
He's with Top Rank.
Okay, so both top rank. I used to watch Lopez train at the top rank gym, so I always admired him when he fought Lomachenko. I said to everyone he's going to beat Lomachenko, by the way, but I just feel Josh Taylor is just an animal, and Josh Taylor is Lopez's nightmare. I generally believe between 4 and 7 get stopped.
Wow, that's a bold prediction. Jerry, what do you think?
As you said that initially, massive fight. I guess the first thing when I look at it is I try to understand both people's careers. And for me, I think you can say Lopez is the biggest names on his CV are his win against Lomachenko and Richard Comey. And the win against Lomachenko, me personally, I think it was a tight affair, and I think personally it was a draw. But those are the two biggest names, I guess, on his CV, and also Cambosos. But then when you look at someone like Josh Taylor, and you can see his trajectory after beating O'Hara Davis, he then went on to beat Vasquez. He had fights with Victor Postol. Then he beat Baranchik and won the world title there, and then he moved on unification with Ramirez. So I think he's got the deeper CV. He's got the better credentials. But I think what's interesting about this fight is Lopez is going up to the next weight to challenge Josh Taylor. If you look at it also, I guess, in terms of both of their most recent performances. So I think neither of them particularly looked great. And there's no warm-up fight in between. So they're going straight into it. I would edge Josh as the favorite. But Lopez is definitely dangerous and looking forward to the fight.
Guys, as well, did you think that Lopez was outgrowing the weight when he fought Cambosos? Do you think he was outgrowing the weight? Do you think this is a better weight for him in terms of? Do you think we could see the best out of Lopez here?
Um,
Sorry.
no, you go.
No, what I was going to say is when I was at the camp with Lopez, Lopez is a very, very big. I'm a big guy. He was like the size of me. How he boils down to that weight is unbelievable. I don't know how he does it. So I think he's not actually going up a weight. He's just going to make his job a little bit more easier. And like you says, the main thing, there's no in between fight. They both have had a bit of a struggle on the last fight, and they both have. Has Lopez got back with his father? Is he still training him, or has he got a new
I think
trainer?
so. I think it's his dad still.
Which is good. So it's a very interesting fight because it's a pressure fight for Josh Taylor. It's a pressure fight for Lopez, but it's a super fight for the fans.
Mm.
And
For
Jerry,
me,
sorry,
just
you
just to
were
add to what you
saying something.
said, yeah, just to add to what you said, I think there's a narrative in boxing which we always have is where someone takes a loss and they make a strategic decision to move up. I think, as you said, you're correct. He's always been tight at the weight, but so are many people. You got people at 175 that are struggling to make the weight, people at 168, but they're still making the weight. But I think after people have a loss, it's almost like a valid reason for them to go up. So yes, I think 140 would definitely be him at his natural weight. But I think the important thing is when he fought Cambosos, he did not take that fight seriously. Him and his dad were going around saying that they're going to win this fight in 1 round. I don't know why they thought it was going to be that easy, and it ended up being a difficult fight for him. So if you look at that, I think he needs to really look back at the Cambosos and what energy and vibe he went into camp with. Because I generally thought they thought it was going to be a knockover job.
Yeah, I mean, no, that's absolutely right as well. I mean, Cambosos, unfortunately, got 2 hours against Devin Haney, but there's no shame in that compared to what he could potentially be a pound for pound great moving forward. Too early to say yet, but he's on that sort of level. But with Josh Taylor as well, we caught up with him briefly a few weeks back, and the fight with Catterall has always been hanging over his head in terms of that performance. And one of the things he said was, I don't, I'll paraphrase it, but I don't duck anybody. It's effing nonsense. Do you think when a fighter has a bad night at the office, that sometimes goes into their next performance? And how hard is it to shift it off, Asgi?
It's always hard. They can all pretend it's not hard, but the reason why the rematch never happened was obviously Catterall moving promoters, new management. Josh Taylor obviously wanted to keep busy. If he fought Catterall, they would have taken the WBO belt off him. It was a case of, you know what, he has to take this fight, otherwise he's no longer world champion. And it's what Jerry said earlier with Lopez. He underestimated Cambosos. As a Cambosos, and he looked beyond that, whereas he should have kept his eye on the prize. And I think this is where boxers, like did Josh Taylor do the same, where he underestimated Catterall and had a bit of a rough night? But like you said, either way, the build-up's going to be fantastic. They're both very vocal. They're both going to really take it to the centre of the ring. So it's going to be very interesting. I can't wait for it, to be fair.
One of the things that when we spoke, I think it was last year when this, Lopez and Josh Taylor was being touted, you said something like, again, paraphrasing, but I remembered it, Lopez should stay in his own lane.
Absolutely. Listen, there's killers in this game, and there's people who talk the talk, and there's people that walk the walk. Josh Taylor is an animal. He will fight you. He will take it to you. He will take one to give two. He'll take three to give two. He's an animal. Whereas Lopez starts off very good, but then goes into his shell. As soon as the going gets tough, he'll go into his shell, just like he did with Lomachenko. Started off great, finished off slow. But very smart move by not wanting the rematch with Lomachenko. Even though it would have been a lot more lucrative, but I understand why. It's a great money. Is it a case of Lopez wants to cash in on this fight? Is it a make or break fight? But there's a lot of pressure on both fighters in this fight.
There's loads, isn't there, Jerry? I mean, if Josh Taylor goes and gets the win, what do you think could be next for him next? That's super lightweight.
I think we need to
remember. What would you like to see him in?
I think we need to remember when Josh Taylor initially spoke about moving up to 140, moving from 140 to 147, it was for the big fights. And we know the main names there are Terence Crawford and Errol Spence. But I guess those two are pretty much tied up. So I think this is the next best thing for him in terms of his last, I think it will be his last fight at 140. And then they'll go up to, I guess, 147. But for me, we're still waiting to see Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence. They've spoken about it many times happening, and still we don't know what's happening with that. But I'd love to see him mix it up with those guys. But at the same time, you've got some killers in that weight. So I forgot what's his name, John Ennis, for example, Virgil Ortiz. It will be good to see Taylor potentially in with those guys, and then see what happens later on after the two main guys have sorted out their business.
Boots is the man. I remember many years ago, a guy I worked with, Eddie Chambers, used to tell me about this guy called Boots. I just check this guy, and I would always watch Eddie training him and working with him. And I thought, well, you know what it is? And this is no disrespect to anyone. Leave Boots alone. Stay away from that man. He's just a serious operator right now. He's building. Don't rush him. Let him do his thing.
So, with that being said, someone like Boots, who do you think they should put Boots in with now?
Catterall. Someone like Jack Catterall. Because Jack Catterall had a great fight with Josh Taylor, and he's looking for a super fight. He needs a money fight. Boots needs the European platform. Jack Catterall's well known around here. bring him over. Super. It's just like Javante Davis when he came over and he fought Walsh, was it?
Liam Walsh,
Yeah. See, these are the kind of fights that Boots need. And I tell you what really amazes me. We was in Vegas, and I'm saying to Ben Davis, hey, check that guy. That's Terence Crawford. Because now that can't be Terence Crawford. Nobody's speaking to him. Got near him. It was Terence Crawford. They don't acknowledge just how great he is. And that really pees me off about what's going on in America. You got some serious talented fighters, Shakur, Terence Crawford, obviously even Errol Spence. These are the kind of guys that are not getting the credit globally that they should be getting. And I think, is there a lot of hidden politics behind this? Is there something that they just don't want to do, promote certain fighters? I don't know. It just really, really raises the eyebrows. But these kind of guys will be megastars. They come to the UK, they'll get mobbed. But in America, they don't even get acknowledged. It's really sad.
I think what the issue is in America. So the way we've got football here, you've got the big sports there like basketball. I remember even before the Fury Wilder fight, and Fury was walking down in America and just asking people, "Do you know who Wilder is?" People are like, "No." So I think it's harder in America to be a star. In the UK, it's probably a bit easier with the right backing.
I think another guy to not sleep on in the UK is Ahara Davis as well. I think there's a resurgence for Ahara Davis. I mean, that would be an incredible one again, won't
fantastic.
It? Amazing performance against Lewis Ritson. Losing me there, Asgar.
Very good, and that's good shout that. But I like to see Ahara Davis versus Catterall because there's some build up there. There's some bad blood there, and that'll be a great fight.
Yeah, that would be an excellent one.
I think the thing about Catterall that is just so interesting is it's high risk and low reward. I mean, his style is an unorthodox one. It's going to be hard to beat him. There's a high chance I'm not going to stop him. And then to beat him on points is just going to be a difficult performance because he's slick. Even if you fought Josh Taylor again, it's just an awkward fight. Whereas I think the Lopez fight, I wouldn't say it's easier, but Lopez is there. He's there for you to hit. Yes, he's powerful, but you can probably touch him. Whereas Catterall reminds me a bit of McKinson. Their style is very different and very slick, and it is hard to nail them down straight away. What's your thoughts on that?
I think you're absolutely right. And you said it bang on because who else has Catterall got to fight? And like you said, with the reward factor, you're not going to get paid masses of money for a fight. Apart from people in the UK, are people across the globe going to pay for pay-per-view? No, they won't. It's a local great fight, but that's just bragging rights fight now because he's got a lot to prove. But that fight's always there for Josh Taylor. He can go on to do whatever he wants, fight someone like Crawford, whether he wins or loses, that fight can be like a retirement fight. Like he says, I'd much rather Catterall fight someone like Boots or Ahara Davis, and then eventually fight someone like Josh Taylor.
Yeah, build that profile up.
I was just going to say, if Lopez does lose to Josh Taylor, who's the next suitable opponent to go in with him? I'm thinking maybe not Richard Comey. I'm thinking Ramirez, because Ramirez just had a good fight against Richard Comey. Do you think that'll be a good big fight for Lopez if he does lose?
Absolutely, but why not someone like Prograis?
Prograis, yeah, he's got a belt.
Yeah,
got a world title.
Yeah, that's a great fight, and he's looking good. And I'm seeing him and Josh Taylor likely to fight after. But the winner should fight him, or the loser. Either it's a great little combination there.
Yeah,
and he's a free agent now, so he's fighting tomorrow.
I think depending on the manner and the way the fight goes, this could be a double header. It's one of those sort of fights, isn't it?
It's just a fantastic division. But you know what everyone needs to remember as well? Don't write off Lomachenko. He's still there, he's still dangerous, and he's got a lot to prove and he's angry. He realized he starts off very slow against Lopez. Listen, when they call you the Matrix, there's something about you,
Listen, just to add to your point, Lomachenko is one of my favorite fighters, and
unbelievable.
I'm telling you, people keep writing him off. Don't be surprised if he beats Haney. I'm telling you, he wants undisputed. Yeah. He's similar to Usyk. Their dreams and aspirations are bigger than boxing. And I'm telling you, Haney's never been in there with anyone like Lomachenko. So he will fill the matrix. And me personally, I think Lomachenko's going to win.
When
You heard it here.
that fight was lined up between Lomachenko and Lopez, I always remember at the Top Rank gym, Lopez was training, doing all his flips and all that, and Lomachenko would walk in and he'd always keep looking at and glazing at Lopez. So from then I knew he's on his back foot. He's been very, very cautious. And at that gym, you had the very best sparring: Shakur, Lomachenko, Devin Haney. You had Lopez. You had so many, and each of them, all of them mixing it in with the best of the best. And I think that's what beat Lomachenko. I think his mind wasn't on the game. And you know, Lomachenko, these guys they're never under pressure, but he showed so much respect, and that's what cost him the fight. And I don't think he'll show him any respect this time. And if they ever had a rematch, he would stop Lopez within 6.
Okay, honestly, do you think he actually lost the fight? Do you think it was a fair loss?
I think he did. I think he started off not way too slow.
No,
I think
no.
Lomachenko came in round 6.
No,
I think he came into it.
I understand what Jerry's saying, and he's right, because 1 to 6, we clearly give it to Lopez, right? And it wouldn't have surprised me if it had been a draw. It wouldn't have surprised me if Lomachenko had edged it. But because of the hype and they knew the numbers, you were talking promoters. We're talking about the TV. The rematch is what sells. Nobody wants Lomachenko to, because he's expected to win. Then what are you going to do next? But then it opened up the doors. Then the next fight was in New Zealand, it was in Australia. It opened a bigger platform for the promotional companies. These are the kind of things you've got to see that the average person doesn't know. But it wasn't no surprise to me. And as I think Lomachenko does never get the fair whip. He never gets treated fairly sometimes.
I don't think he does. Yeah, I don't think he does.
I think it'll be interesting on May the 20th, though, because that will clearly, if Devin Haney wins, so for me, that will definitely put him in that class of, you know, could he be a pound for pound great? Could he be one of those?
You know what?
Potentially.
You know what's really sad? Because people like Ben Davidson knows Lomachenko inside. Remember, he was watching he goes all over the world. He studies fighters. So with Ben Davidson in Devin Haney's corner, I thought, you know what? Brilliant. But without Ben Davidson there, like you said, I wouldn't be surprised again if Lomachenko beats Devin Haney, because in his last fights, he's been declining. He's getting picked off. And this is someone who's supposed to be superior at everyone in boxing. But his boxing skills weren't really there. And with someone like Lomachenko, they execute your weaknesses. They take you to pieces. And once they step up the gas, man, they can step up the gas. There's levels to their game. And he can step up and slow it down at his pace. And now that you've said it like this, I'm favouring Lomachenko. Unless Ben Davidson's in the corner.
With that being said, though, I think there's one name you mentioned, and when I watch him, he is just punch perfect. Shakur Stevenson is knocking on the door of everyone. And I don't know. I mean, look at 135, for example. Who have we got there? We've got Garcia. We've got Gervonta Davis. Who else have we got? 135 champions. I'm trying to figure out how stat their division is. Gervonta Davis, Garcia, Lomachenko is there now. Devin Haney. And if you add Shakur Stevenson to that, I think there's going to be some sort of passing the torch moment. Because Lomachenko is already, I guess, on his way up the sport just due to age, in terms of what he's accomplished. And Shakur Stevenson has just moved up from 130 to 135. But I think he gives every single person in that list hell.
That Saturday alone proved that. I mean, one of the comments I saw flying about on our Facebook feed was, "But look who Shakur Stevenson beat. It's regardless, you know, the performance was a punch perfect one, and you know he beat his mandatory that was there, and the real fight."
Who's that other kid? What weight is it? Abdullah? Is it Abdullah Mason? No, what's his name? It's going to come to me. There's another American kid out there. Mason Abdullah, something like that. Abdullah, I can't remember. But I think he'd be a bit too heavy. I think he's like middleweight.
Okay.
Abdullah Mason, I'm sure it's him. With Shakur, they need to get him away from that circle, because he's going to be a global star. He's got everything: the looks, personality. He's phenomenal. He's the perfect package. But they should learn from someone like Terence Crawford, because they didn't market Terence Crawford. Well, Shakur, you can. And you don't need to be rushed. He's a young boy, you know what I mean? I don't mean that's disrespectful, like a young boy. I mean, he is a kid in the game. But when I was there, look at him. He was an American. He lived the life as an athlete, trained non-stop. And look at him. He's getting better and better and better. And he's got Terence Crawford by his side. What better mentoring do you need than that?
That's true. That is true. Yeah, he's going to be a nightmare for everyone, I think, at that division. But I think we'll see the division open up. We've got Gervonta Davis fighting Garcia. We'll see what happens there. We've still got Lomachenko versus Haney. So I think things will start to fragment, belts will start to fragment, and I guess we'll really get to see what's happening in that division. But any aspiring boxer who's coming up into their 135 division, I think they're in a stacked division with big fights and good potential.
Absolutely. Asgi, just very finally as well then, you've been in camp with Josh. Unfortunately, sorry, you said earlier that off camera that you won't be able to make this fight. Josh personally asked you to go down himself and you just can't make it. But what kind of stuff would Ben be working on to fight Lopez? Would he be doing anything different? I mean, you know what it's like being in that corner.
Who? Sorry, you said Ben?
So sorry,
Dave,
for Taylor. For Taylor, what kind of stuff would they be working on?
Go back to what you was. Go back to the catch one, give two, catch one, give three, full force attack. That's Josh Taylor. Forget trying to change his style. Just keep the pressure on him. You're stronger. You've got the faster work rate, better work rate. And that's what Lopez will try and work on. He'd expect you to decline as it goes along. No, sorry. He'll start off fast. He'll try and take you into deep waters. Now, Josh Taylor's got to meet him halfway at deep waters, but continue to step up the gear. Stick to that style. I think that's the way for Josh Taylor. Don't try and outbox him. Just put the pressure and just keep working.
Good stuff. Jerry, what's your final thoughts on this fight? Do you think it will be you said earlier, do you think it will be a stoppage win? How do you see this going?
It's a difficult one for me. I think what would have been good if there was momentum on both sides. But in terms of both the last performances, it's been difficult ones or hard ones to judge. And they're going straight into this big fight. So yeah, I think they'll both be up for it. My natural instinct is saying it will be a points decision from Josh. I think what I like about Josh is he's good at close to mid-range. He's a taller boxer, but he can also box well on the inside. And when he sees any sign of weakness, he definitely goes for the kill. I wouldn't be surprised if he was to stop Lopez, but I'm edging towards a points decision just based on activity in the ring. But he needs to be careful in terms of that right hand from Lopez.
Brilliant. Absolutely. I think closer to the fight, if anyone is, whoever's not flying out, Jerry, I don't know about your schedule, but we'll definitely do a live sort of stream of our fight chat anyway, just to see how it goes down on the night. Just to wrap things up then, Jerry, where can people get your work? Where can they follow you? So you can follow me on my Instagram is Jerry Dapper, so JERRY DAPPER. And in terms of YouTube, I'm on Behind the Gloves Twitter page. You can check the YouTube and you can also check the Instagram. Good stuff. Asgi, anything you want to plug?
No, great meeting you, Jerry. Great talking to you. You're
you
a very
too.
knowledgeable man. And I do like people to talk. You've got me convinced now. Lomachenko is going to beat Devin Haney. I'm backing it.
Big fight. Can't wait.
It's going to be a good one. Thank you,
Take
guys.
care, my brother. Good speaking to you.
Thank you, guys. We'll catch up soon and all the best. Cheers.